Pokémon GO is one of those games that seemingly has infinite lives throughout its lifespan. Even though it goes through so many controversies, Niantic, the developers of Pokémon GO, have seemingly survived every single one of them. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 reasons why Pokémon GO is an evergreen game, specifically why the game will last forever. Hey, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokémon GO video. Today we're going to be talking about the main reasons why Pokémon GO is going to be a forever game. It is a game that is essentially never going to die. And the reason for that is because there are a couple of things that Pokémon GO has going for it that gives it an advantage compared to any other mobile game. Now, like I mentioned at the top of this video, Pokémon GO is certainly not a perfect game. There are a lot of different critiques that players have had regarding this game, and all of those criticisms are completely valid because when it comes to Niantic, the developers of Pokémon GO, they have had a very bad track record when it comes to bug fixes, implementing different features that players want, listening to the community, and in general, being in touch with their own game. That is kind of the nature of Pokémon GO. It is a game that is incredibly divisive within the community of players that play it. But even so, the game is going to last. And the reason for that is because of these 5 reasons. Alright, so let's get right into it. Let's talk about the first reason why Pokémon GO is going to last forever. And this is probably the most obvious one. It is the Pokémon IP. This is probably the biggest franchise in the world, bar none. It doesn't matter where in the world you are at, people will be familiar with the Pokemon IP. They will be familiar with Pikachu, they'll be familiar with all the different characters, and regardless if it is the mainstream games, Pokemon GO, or the Pokemon anime, everyone in the world essentially knows what Pokemon is. And I think because of that, Niantic have a very strong advantage. I don't think the Pokemon franchise is going anywhere anytime soon. As long as they continue to crank out different games, they continue to crank out different products, and of course, they continue to be in the spotlight within pop culture through movies and TV shows, yeah, Pokemon is essentially going to be here forever. And because of that, I think Pokemon GO is also going to be here forever. Next, let's move on to the next reason why Pokemon GO is essentially going to be around forever, and that is, of course, the infinite stream of different content that Niantic could make. And the reason for that is, of course, because of the Pokemon IP. Pokémon Company is going to continuously make different and new Pokemon every single year. And then, of course, with the way that Pokemon GO is currently designed, it's essentially evergreen content. Niantic could continuously crank out different forms of content based on all the stuff that's currently in the game, and they'll be completely okay. They do not need to add a lot more mechanics in order to keep the game fresh. They can essentially just hang their hats on PvP, gym battling, raid battles, as well as the collection aspect, and essentially the game will self-maintain itself. There's no need for them to continuously add new features, and I think a lot of players recognize that. When it comes to Pokemon GO, it's always going to be fresh because, well, all you need is new Pokemon. And for what it's worth, a lot of players will criticize the gameplay loop for Pokemon GO, but I actually think it is one of the best gameplay loops among all of the different mobile games that you could play. The reason why I say that is because it is incredibly simple, and on top of that, it is very rewarding even if you do not spend money. And I think those are the big appeal points when it comes to Pokemon GO, and it's going to continuously generate new users every single day. Pretty much anyone can pick up Pokemon GO and dive right in, and they won't feel like they're completely behind, because as soon as you jump in, you're going to see a whole bunch of different Pokemon, and the excitement that every single one of us have felt when we first opened up Pokemon GO can still be felt by pretty much any new player. Alright, let's move on to the third reason why Pokemon GO is going to be around forever, and that is simply the fact that, well, it is probably the only AR game that is ever going to exist. I could be completely wrong here, but when it comes to the experience of playing Pokemon GO, I don't think anyone can ever replicate it. Catching Pokemon in the real world using your phone is something that is actually really exciting. For a lot of people like myself who grew up on the Pokemon IP, this is a dream for pretty much anyone, and I think Niantic nailed it. I honestly believe that. Even though a lot of players will criticize Niantic, including myself, I still feel like when it comes to collecting Pokemon out in the real world, Niantic did it completely right, and I think they need to get some credit for that. Now, the fourth reason why Pokemon Go is going to have longevity is, of course, the community of players. When it comes to Pokemon Go, the community tends to be very toxic online, but if you actually go out and meet people who play Pokemon Go, you will feel the enthusiasm. Yes, there's going to be criticisms towards Niantic, there's going to be people who are unhappy about some of the design decisions that Niantic makes, but overall, the sentiment around Pokemon Go has always been very positive. People are naturally very excited about Pokemon Go, regardless of whatever is going on in the game. And that is mainly because of the Pokemon IP, but also because of how the game functions. There's always something new to catch, there's always something exciting that you could obtain. And then when it comes to PvP and when it comes to gym battles, there is always something for players to talk about when it comes to different strategies and different wins and losses, and I really think because of that, the community of players are what is keeping Pokemon Go alive. I think there's something that Niantic needs to do, and that is to foster a good relationship with the community, because as of right now, they do not have that, at least on social media. So I think that's something that Niantic should focus on. I think they need to come up with different measures where they could actually communicate with the community, as well as provide a lot of different things that the community is actually asking for. Of course, they have a horrible track record with this, but they also have a couple of things that they've done throughout the years that players have actually wanted, like for example, the ready button in raids. So I do think they have it in them, they just need to do a lot more of it. And then of course, if you think about the community, there are different age ranges among people who play Pokemon Go hardcore. And if you think about it, the game is multi-generational. There's people who play with their kids, and eventually those kids are going to grow up and they're going to continue playing Pokemon Go, and then they're going to play with their kids. So because of that, I think Pokemon Go is safe when it comes to longevity, because there's always going to be an audience for this game. And then now, let's talk about the final reason why I believe Pokemon Go has insane longevity and it's going to last forever, and that is simply because, well, there is no end goal in Pokemon Go. It is essentially the ultimate sandbox game. There is not an endpoint when it comes to this game. You're essentially constantly collecting new Pokemon every single day, and if you end up completing your Pokedex, well, there's still the Pokedexes for lucky Pokemon, perfect IVs, shadow Pokemon, mega evolutions. There's a whole bunch of things for you to do. So the phrase gotta catch 'em all is essentially impossible when it comes to Pokemon Go. Because of the way the game is designed and because of the massiveness of the Pokemon IP, there is always something for you to go after. And because of that, Pokemon Go is essentially one of those games that really has no endpoint. So for anyone who is very hardcore about Pokemon Go, they're going to continuously play this game for years and even decades to come, because they probably have some personal goals that they want to meet, and it's going to take them a very long time for them to meet them. So yeah, because of that, I personally believe Pokemon Go is going to last forever, and I really hope it does, because I love playing this game. In spite of all the criticisms that I have for Pokemon Go and Niantic, I still think the game is phenomenal, and I do want to see it last for much longer. I will say that there are certain things that Niantic needs to do to manage that longevity. Like I said earlier, they need to foster a good reputation with the community. And they also have to be really good to Nintendo and the Pokemon Company, because if they lose the Pokemon IP, well, there you have it. That's going to be the end of Pokemon Go right there. But I do think they do have a good relationship with the Pokemon Company from everything that I've heard, and I actually hear that they kind of foster that relationship more than they foster the relationship with the community. So I don't know. Yeah, that's just hearsay. Don't quote me on that, but I do think that Pokemon Go is in a good place. Let's be real here. I might have a lot of complaints, but essentially, I do love the game. That's my point. But yeah. In any case, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. Do you think that Pokemon Go has a lot of legs? Do you think it's going to last for several years or decades? Let me know why you think that down below. And yeah, let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload Pokemon Go videos. And I want to give a shout out to every single one of my patrons on Patreon. You all make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, of course, the best way you could do so is by joining my Patreon. And if you do so, you get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. So when it comes to playing Pokemon Go together with me, all you have to do is join my Patreon and we could level up the friendship levels together, or we could do remote raids together. So yeah, if you're interested in all that, make sure you go and check out my Patreon, the link to which is in the description below. And of course, if you want to support my channel in a different way other than Patreon, you could do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula, and I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.